What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys so much for watching the show. Wanted to talk to you about our friends over at PrizePicks, the best place to win cash while watching sports. This app is really easy to use. You just pick more or less on a few player stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your cash on a single lineup. Best of all, PrizePicks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. Use the promo code PFF and download the app now. Chicago Bears haul in the first round at number 10 overall. They went with tight end Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren. Interested to hear what you think of that and if that goes into your draft grade and how they drafted. Second round, they go with Luther Burden, but also Ozzie Trapillo and Shamar Turner. So a couple of trench picks there in the second round with their 3 second-round picks. Fourth round, linebacker Ruben Hippolyte, who is just a RAS god, just going to be a speed demon for them, probably on special teams. Fifth rounder, they went with another athletic bet to make, the long and lean cornerback from UTSA, Za Frazier. Sixth round, Luke Newman, another guy who was a great athlete at his position. And then they waited all the way to the 7th round to get a running back, but they did get a powerful one who I think is going to be a fan favorite when it comes to training camps and during the season. Running back Kyle Monangai from Rutgers. Our staff gave the Bears a B+ here, Dalton. Do you think that's fair? What do you think of this haul?
Yeah, I think that's fair. You could even maybe argue an A- for the value that they got, especially on Luther Burden. I think that's the best pick out of this entire haul here to get him at number 39. I thought there was some teams in front of him that made a real mistake passing on Burden. The fact that you add him and Colston Loveland to this offense, I think between not just the talent of these players, but the flexibility they both give you alongside DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, the rebuilt offensive line, Ben Johnson calling the plays. It feels like right now the possibilities on this Bears offense are endless. And the one thing I want to emphasize with these two players, okay, the Bears were 29th in the league in slot receiving grade last season. Most of that is Keenan Allen just didn't get what they wanted to out of him, right? Luther Burden the last 2 years is 7th among all college receivers in slot receiving grade, okay? Colston Loveland is second behind Harold Fannin Jr. in slot receiving grade over the last 2 years among all college tight ends. So I think what you have and the flexibility that Ben Johnson has created in this offense with these two players and the personnel that they have now. You want to put two tight ends on the field? You've got Kmet, you've got Loveland. You want to go 11 personnel with a blocker? You've got Kmet. You want to go 11 personnel with a bigger flex tight end like a TJ Hawkinson type guy? That's Colston Loveland. You want to, get Luther Burden going in the screen game? He's dynamic with the ball in his hands. I just think there's so many possibilities now. The Bears are going to be so tough to cover. And there's been talk about, Ben Johnson's talked about, okay, we're turning the heat up on some of these veteran guys, but I don't think that's the case in their offensive skill room. I know there's been talk about Kmet or maybe even Odunze, but you're talking about a team with endless schematic possibilities because of everything Burden can do. We already know everything DJ Moore can do. Rome Odunze moves around. I mean, the two tight ends. I love this. I just love the weaponry and the way that Ben Johnson's completely reinvented this offense. In theory, Caleb Williams' life could not be easier with the personnel around him. He just has to go out there and execute. And I think the idea that they're going to take put more of the run game into this offense, right? Obviously, Ben Johnson's going to want to run the ball. They're going to put easy throws in this offense with Loveland and Burden and DJ Moore. Everything about Caleb Williams' life in this offense should be easy. He has to just go out and make the throws, but they look like a dynamic skill unit right now with these first 2 picks added in.
Yeah, I like the B+ grade. I could also give them an A-, honestly, because it kind of comes down to what you think of 2 selections, in my opinion. Luther Burden and Shamar Turner. Those are pretty much the 2 that I think are different. Because for as much as, all right, Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren, if you were a Tyler Warren guy, which I had Tyler Warren a little bit ahead of Colston Loveland, but I can understand why they would gravitate a little bit more towards the receiver, the guy who's going to be a little bit more of a flexible slot and X receiver for you rather than somebody who's going to be an inline and slot type of a tight end for you like Tyler Warren was. So I can understand the Colston Loveland pick. I think that's fine, even though I had Warren ranked above Loveland. You can't be too much of a stickler there, I don't think, because both of these guys are really good. And then the Ozzie Trapillo, I think he's a damn good offensive lineman. And to not overly focus on offensive line, to take one at number 10, but to still get one where they got Trapillo in the second round, you wonder about the scheme fit a little bit because he's more of a man and gap, more of a power run scheme type of an offensive tackle. But he's still a really good player. So I think getting him as a swing backup who could play left and right tackle for you as your preferred third offensive tackle on the team behind Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright, to me, that's great. I still like that pick, independent of maybe there being a little bit of a philosophical run game difference between what he can do and what the Bears might be leaning into. I think that what we're thinking Ben Johnson might do is sort of just based off of what he did in Detroit. It might be a little bit different in Chicago. I like Shamar Turner, and Luther Burden was wide receiver 2 for me. So to get both of those players, especially to get Luther Burden in the second round, especially for a coach like Ben Johnson to get a player like Luther Burden, I love it. Now, you get a little bit further, Hippolyte, Zach Frazier, or Za Frazier, Luke Newman. Those guys are sort of just athlete bets that you're making on day 3. Totally fine with that. Ben Lindsay on the PFF betting show before the draft started was talking about how since 2019, no general manager has drafted more towards relative athletic score, so basically weight-adjusted athleticism, than Ryan Poles for the last 6 years. And so it makes sense that he's taken his chance on athletes in the third round. We sort of saw that coming. I think some people might look at this and say, hey, why didn't you address running back until the 7th round? I can understand that, and that's why this isn't like an A+ type of a draft, but I still think it is in the A- category because I think they got really good football players, and it's a long-term thing, right? It's a new regime. It's a new coaching staff, so they're really just trying to retool the roster, the guys that Ben Johnson's going to want, and I think this is still one of the most complete rosters in the NFL. So hard to give the Bears anything less than a B+. I'd even talk about putting them in the A range at an A- because of who they brought in and how impactful I think that those players can be.
Yeah, I think I just look at this NFC North, and we're going to obviously talk about the other 3 teams, but you go 3 of them made the postseason. The Bears were in last place, only winning 5 games, and yet this is the offseason that they've had to try to bridge the gap. I think this division is going to be so much fun to watch again this year because you have 4 teams with boatloads of talent. I think you could very well see all 4 of them in the postseason race.
Somebody was saying Darius Alexander over Shamar Turner would have made it an A for me. I don't really know what they're going to do with Shamar Turner, right? Because I've talked about it before. I feel like I like him more as a one-gap penetrating 3-technique defensive tackle, but his grades were better when he was more of a heavy-handed 4-3 defensive end. And so I just don't know what Chicago is going to do with him. I think he's a good football player. I really do. Very interested to just see how they deploy him and what they think of Shamar Turner.